I think a few people are probably still joining in. We are hosting a special webinar today to cover Procorem Inspect for our HFAs, our housing finance agencies, and our third-party inspectors who are supporting those agencies. This is a recent product launch that ProLink has offered, and so we want to make sure that the industry is aware of what we have today. We're going to go over just a quick agenda, who ProLink is, just a little bit about us in case you're unfamiliar. We'll cover an overview of Procorum Inspect, and then we'll have a live demo as well. So that is the plan. This webinar is really geared to support those who may not be so close to ProLink. So we have a number of agencies, existing clients of ours who use ProLink HFA and other products that we support. And we have now developed this inspection tool that is available for both our existing clients, for non-ProLink HFA users, and for third parties that might be supporting that process for agencies across the country. So that is the purpose of this webinar, is to kind of share what we have to offer for all of those different groups. So I am Bree Kruder. I'm the Executive Vice President for ProLink. I am the relationship person. I work very closely with our existing clients as well as prospective clients. And I'm really kind of present and available and seen at most of our industry opportunities and conferences with NCSHA and in other places you may have seen me. And then Connor McKenna is joining me to provide us with our live demo. He's our Director of Product Strategy, so he's here as well. Thank you, Connor. All right, so I'm going to go over just a little bit about ProLink for those who are less familiar with our company. We have been supporting the affordable housing industry for over 25 years at this point, or at least been in business for 25 years. I think the affordable housing piece really started in early 2000s, around 2004, when we started working directly with housing finance agencies to support basically a affordable housing portfolio management system, which many know now as ProLink HFA. So that's kind of the history of how we started. We originated as a custom development shop that supported real estate finance, the industry in a lot of different areas. And then once we started working with housing agencies, we fully committed ourselves to affordable. So many years down the road, we now support quite a few clients and cover what we consider the three pillars of affordable housing, or at least the three different groups, being our state and local housing finance agencies. We also support tax credit syndicators and investors with portfolio management systems, and developers and owner agents who work with our agency clients and our syndicators and investors. So our mission is really to build holistic platforms that improve the efficiency of affordable housing. Our platforms are really meant to support the origination piece, like the very beginnings of these projects, all the way through asset management and compliance. So you can kind of draw a conclusion as to how we have now entered into kind of expanding our offering around inspections through that process. We offer full compliance support as far as technology goes for the clients that we support already through ProLink HFA, and we have a deep understanding of Nspire as a result of that work. And our team is made up of mission-driven technologists with quite the history and tenure in affordable at this point. So we definitely speak that language, and it's what we kind of live and breathe every day. So just wanted to reiterate for Procorum Inspect, who was this developed for? Who does it support? I'm going to get into some storytelling in a minute, but first and foremost, our ProLink HFA users, so our housing finance agencies who are using our database currently, are certainly involved with us in most of those clients who are using our compliance module in ProLink HFA have been involved with us as beta clients through the development of Procorum Inspect. But we have kept in mind the possibility of other agencies who may not be using our database who do not, which is known as ProLink HFA, they might need a tool as well, since Inspire is new to us all, right? So we have built the app to integrate and support other state agencies who may have a different kind of technology stack. And then finally, we have our third-party compliance service providers. Even some of our existing ProLink HFA users will outsource their inspection effort to third parties. So we certainly want to make sure that we involve those folks and make sure that you're aware that that is a opportunity as well for Procorem Inspect. As far as our storytelling goes, I did want to just highlight this because I think it's a bit of an ornament for ProLink, which is our ProLink HFA user group. So that is something that we established in the earlier, I guess maybe around 2010, I would say. User groups are familiar to everyone today, but at that time they were kind of an innovative and new thing to collaborate with your clients and further the technology of a product, right? So we have developed a very collaborative group of our HFA users to engage in just exchanging ideas, helping us to prioritize our roadmap and expose needs for new functionality that the industry is really needing. And so Procorem Inspect is a direct result of that program that we offer with our HFAs. We met a year ago and worked together in a room to kind of establish our priorities for features we wanted to develop, and Procorem Inspect was one of our top three. So by starting with that, we immediately had involvement from a decent sample size of our agencies across the nation, different sizes, different setups for, as far as inspections are really conducted. And we started to incorporate and survey them for feedback. We also started including them in our design sessions. And then we established a beta testing program with them to kind of get us to the finish line with the product that you'll see today. So this is really, in a lot of ways, designed by your peers, which we're very proud of, and it's been a very rewarding experience for us as a development, as a software shop to do it that way. Okay, and with that, I'm going to go ahead and let Connor cover an overview of Procorum before he dives into his live demonstration.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Bree. Thank you for joining. So this is our Procorem Inspect app. Here's just some screenshots of the overview page where you'll get a list of your different properties. It's available on Apple and Android devices, both tablets and mobile. And then it's available on the Apple App Store today and on the Google Play Store. Let's jump into some of the nuts and bolts of the application on the next slide. So it was designed out of the box to facilitate Inspire inspection. So once you open the app, you'll be able to select a specific property and it'll jump you into an Inspire inspection where you'll have your different building areas and your unit areas and any key line items that you might have on that inspection. It also has seamless integration with our back office system. So you don't have to worry about retyping information and data or copying and pasting any data. It has an offline mode. So maybe you're on an inspection and you're in the basement or you're somewhere where you can't connect to internet. That's fine. You can continue through your inspection, completing each area that you need to. And then once you gain internet access, you can upload all of those areas or any progress you've made on the inspection into the overall inspection. It also offers functionality for multiple inspectors. So you might have a property that's pretty large and your whole team's going after trying to complete that property, then you might maybe you have multiple inspectors in different buildings. Potentially they don't even have internet access and they have to use the offline mode. That's okay. They'll be able to complete those areas. And then once you get back into internet service, you can merge those inspected areas into the overall inspection. It offers custom inspection templates. So right now, maybe you want to cater the Inspire standards to your own agency's needs. You want to add some line items or remove some line items or categories. You can do that. You can also make copies of your existing custom templates and continue the process of changing those templates down so to fit any specific needs of your agency. We do want to highlight the phone support here as well because it's so much easier, I think, when you're on an inspection to use your phone to take photos and use the talk to text functionality when you're taking any notes on that inspection. So we're going to jump into the demo now, and I'm going to share. Okay, so here's your login page when you open the application. It's going to ask you to log into your Procorem account. Procorem is one of our web apps that we have, and we're going to talk about it a little bit more later on in this webinar. But you'll use those Procorem credentials in order to sign into the app. From here, it'll have you select a Procorem account. A user can have multiple accounts in Procorem, and each one would be tied specifically to a portfolio of properties you might have. Most will probably have one, but there'll be scenarios where you might have multiple. So we'll go ahead and click into ABC Housing Authority. So that's going to import all of the data associated to that account into your app. And this is your landing page. So on this landing page, you'll get an overview of all the incomplete inspections that you have. So any that are in progress or scheduled. You'll also be able to view the completed as well in a separate tab. This offers a grid view if you want to see the photos, and then it offers a list view as well. And maybe you have a lot of different properties in your portfolio, and it's easier to look through them from a list view. From here, you're also going to be able to expand this hamburger menu, and you can click Manage Properties. And this will show all of the properties, whether they have an inspection scheduled or not, tied to that Procorem account, so tied to that portfolio of properties that you might have. If you click into one of these properties, it'll give you a more detailed view. It'll have some high-level information, the property type, the address of the property number, and the last time it was synced with your app. It'll also have a historical view of all of the inspections, maybe some that are scheduled, in progress, or already completed. And then I'll have a list of the different buildings associated with that property. If you click into one of the buildings, this will again have the high level information on that building on the top, and then it'll give a unit breakdown showing the unit number, bedrooms, bathrooms, and the square feet of that unit. You'll also be able to start a new inspection on the fly. So if I click Start New Inspection, this will give you, some pre-populated data on, hey, it was that selected property of Fillmore Street. You can change the start date and start time. It'll auto-populate the property, the primary inspector as the user. It'll give you the type of inspection you're going to do, which is selectable, and the template that you have, which could be also those custom templates I was talking about. Here you can click Start Inspection, and this is going to bring you into the high-level inspection overview page. But before I get into that, I want to show, if I jump back to all inspections, you'll see that Fillmore Street Apartments has been added here to this overview page listing all of the incomplete inspections. So this has now been scheduled. Let's jump into Garden Court Apartments as our inspection. So back here, this is our high level overview of the inspection. At the top, you'll see, the type of inspection we're doing, the template we're using, the primary inspector, start and end dates, and when the property was last synced or the inspection was last synced. You'll also see our different area breakdown. So our outside areas with our different buildings on there. You'll notice here we have two different inspectors. So we'll have John Smith is supposed to inspect building 1 and Wade Warren's inspecting building 3. So that's one of those scenarios where you'll have multiple inspectors potentially on a property and you'll assign different areas to those inspectors. Once they complete that inspection or they do part of an area, they're always able to upload that inspection and merge those areas into the high level overall inspection. And again, those can be done offline or online. We'll go down into our inside areas here. Same kind of layout. You'll have your different buildings, and those inside areas will be catered a little differently when you see the inspection line items view based on which type of area it is. And it'll jump down into your unit areas as well. What's really nice about this UI is you can add a new unit or add a new area on the fly. So maybe you're supposed to inspect unit 103, but then when you're on site, you might not be able to inspect that unit for whatever reason. You can always click add new, which will add a new unit area and then jump into maybe unit 104 or change which unit you're inspecting on the fly. So let's go back to the top here and we're going to start inspecting building 4. Okay, so this is going to be your Inspire template inspection for the outside area of building 4. What we've done is instead of listing all of the line items from the Inspire template, we've broken them up into categories. For instance, we have address and signage, chimney, clothes dryer, exhaust ventilation. These different categories here, electrical has 10. And it's just a little easier to navigate the inspection based on which category it is. You can also, back to the customized templates, you can customize your different areas, the names of those areas and which line items are in those areas. From here, instead of jumping and having to click no findings or NA on each key line item or each line item, you'll be able maybe pull up and you can see the address and the signage looks good. You can just click no findings here and that'll automatically mark both of those line items as no findings. Same thing, maybe chimneys NA, there's no chimney. You can do that as well. Same thing here for clothes dryer and exhaust ventilation. Moving down, maybe we want to jump into the fire safety section. And in here, this will give you a breakdown of all the line items associated with that category. Maybe exit signs, fine. So we have no findings here. Fire escapes looking good. And then if we want to add a finding, for instance, this fire extinguisher service tag, we can click into the add finding. And this will give you your add finding view. So right here, based on the Inspire standards, we have some stubbed out information. For instance, with regard to a fire extinguisher, that's going to be life-threatening. It has a standard correction time frame of 24 hours, and it'll have that area that you're inspecting tied to that line item. These are all configurable based on your custom templates. So maybe you have, so life-threatening, it's critical, and your correction time frame is 48 hours. You can configure that and change that if you need to. Here we have some information about the location and any notes you have on that finding. This is where our beta testers really like the talk to text functionality that you can use on the devices because it's much easier to just talk to the device and add some notes on a finding than having to type them all in. You can also add photos by taking a photo using your device's camera or select from a gallery of photos you've already taken. Once you take a photo, that's going to be tied to that inspection line item in the overall inspection report. So no need to do anything after you take the photo and it's added to the finding. That will be following through with the inspection process all the way until you complete the inspection and generate the report. So we'll go ahead and click Save Finding here. And we'll say we're done with the fire safety section and we'll click Save. What you'll see down here is kind of a high-level overview of your progress on the fire safety. So we have 3 no findings, there's 1 finding, and then there's an alert that that finding is life-threatening, and it'll have the number of life-threatening findings you might have there. From here, you'll just continue down, moving through the different categories. But maybe you're all done. You've done the different categories you need to for that specific area. And instead of having you go through and click no findings or NA through all of these, you can just click complete the area. And from here, you can complete and it'll automatically mark all the rest of those categories and line items as no findings or NA, so that you don't have to click through each one. Maybe if you forgot to jump into a category, inspect something, you can always click mark as incomplete, and this will just bring you right back to where you left off. So we'll go ahead and complete this area, and we'll click done. And you can see that building 4 is now complete. It has some high-level information of the total findings that we found, and that 1 was life-threatening. And then say, Wade's all done with building 3, and we've completed all of our areas. These will all be marked as complete. And you can go ahead and click complete inspection. And that will upload the inspection to our back office system, and it will bring you back to this kind of landing page, and you'll see that that property has been removed from the incomplete properties view. So from here, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about the report that you can generate after completing an inspection. I'm going to stop sharing and we'll bring back the presentation. Okay, so here's our inspection report. So this is the findings report that you'll be able to generate after completing an inspection. And at the top, you'll see it'll have some high-level information. It'll tell you what type of report it is, which property, which county. It'll show, the inspector information, the contact, the email and phone, the year, and the date that the inspection was completed. Then it'll go into the inspection summary of the findings. So it'll list all the findings that you found in which areas, so your units, your inside and your outside. It'll break out into the life-threatening findings you may have found and any uncorrected life-threatening findings. We're also adding a note section that'll be under that area. So it'll have any high-level notes or overview or summary notes that you might have when making the inspection. And we're currently also working on an exigent report, which will just consist of those life-threatening findings that you might have found. So then you can, hand that report right to the property manager so they get an understanding of any critical or life-threatening findings that you found that they need to address right away. After the inspection summary, it'll jump into your different areas, and it's going to list out each area you inspected and any findings that you may have found. So it'll start with your unit areas. It'll say, which category it's in, which group it's in, the inspection item, the severity, the location that you added in your notes, any notes you might have tied to that finding, and the due date of corrected and whether it's corrected or not. Below that, we have the inside areas, which is going to be the same layout, and then the outside areas. After these sections, after the area section, then we're going to have your photos. And so each photo that you might have added to a finding is going to be included in the report. And at the top of the photo, you'll see that header, and that's going to tie it back to, okay, which area was that photo taken in, which building or unit is it associated with, and the line item key. So we'll jump into the data view. So you'll also have access to this data view in our back office system. And this is going to allow you to get a high level overview of your different inspections both historical and current, that are scheduled. And so this is going to be completely filterable. You can filter it by all of the columns and by all of the rows. So maybe you want to look into like the severity of all the life-threatening findings that you've logged, and maybe in a specific, a specific property or a county, and try and find patterns. Maybe, the same life-threatening finding or similar findings, keep showing up. So it'll give you the ability to really understand, the overview of how your inspections are going and things that you might need to work with the property managers on as well. And I'll hand it back to Bree to talk about Procorum.
Thank you, Connor. Okay, we just have a couple minutes left. So, Connor, thank you for the demo. I think that was great. I wanted to cover one other concept that we have included in our offering for Procorum Inspect. So, tying back to my intro, ProLink, we support the affordable industry in many different ways. We offer a number of products, including like a portfolio management system. And then some of you are probably familiar with Procorum as well. So Procorum Inspect is obviously the name of the application we went over today. However, Procorum is a web based platform that has been available. It's a collaboration platform that we have offered since like 2014 to our clients. And by default, if you do decide to use Procorum Inspect for your inspection needs, you will also be receiving a Procorum account. Procorum is part of the foundation that supports Procorum Inspect. And that Procorum account can be used to support this initiative, your inspection process. But I did want to just make sure you're aware, it goes far beyond that as well. So Procorum, having an account just as it would be, for inspections, you would also benefit from the functionality available on this collaborative platform. Our agencies today, they use Procorum for really all kinds of external collaboration use cases. We have agencies, most of them are using it to receive their funding applications from developers. We run a lot of compliance and asset management receipts of data from owner agents. There's probably some owner agents that might be on today who might be familiar with Procorum and submitting tenant events and going through that compliance process. And then we even have agencies using it for their HUD and Section 8 requirements and contract management. So it's quite a robust platform. Over 1,000, affordable housing owner agents are using it today to collaborate with our HFAs, over 15,000 individual users. And so when you have Procorum, when you have an account, you can establish work centers, which are basically like a project name, and there's a ton of functionality around that. We support posts, calendars, task management, file management, and notifications. So just imagine the possibilities that you might have in working with your properties, even within the realm of compliance or even just within the realm of your inspection process. That may, if you're elaborating or want to kind of expand out of what's available in the app, Procorum is a pretty powerful tool to facilitate that. So certainly something we'll be covering in future webinars, more kind of focused on Procorum, and something you can inquire with us about if you're interested in learning more. The last thing I'm going to cover quickly is just, what would implementation timeline and effort look like if you were to implement Procorum Inspect? So things that we would need from you, and this is just based off of using Procorum Inspect for your future inspections. So we'll need some information about your inspection team. We'll need access to your properties, buildings, and unit data. And then, of course, your company logo. So we have some data migration of at least property, building, and units that would need to be accessed by the app to run those inspections. We're looking at a 2 to 3 month timeline to conduct that data migration, configure the app for you, and provide training. That's kind of our baseline. Certainly, every agency is different. There might be different priorities that you have as part of this process. So, certainly, we would explore those with you if you are interested in learning more. And last thing I'll mention is we will be represented at the NCSHA Housing Connect Conference in Chicago towards the end of this month, June 24th through 27th. We'll have demo tablets available. So if you're interested in seeing this kind of in your hands on a real tablet, or you would like to discuss, what more, elaborate on anything that we've covered today, please reach out to us. You can email us at contact@prolinksolutions.com. Me and Connor's email are going to be on the next slide. We'd love to set up some time with you. Connor's going to be there at the conference, so he'd be glad to sit down with you and kind of work through some of your questions that you might have particular to your agency. You're welcome to submit those in the next minute or so that we'll have this webinar going through our chat or Q&A, and then we'll be following up with you based on your attendance today. So thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it, and we look forward to connecting you soon.